Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of DIY Designs with Kevin and Todd at Worlds of Wow. Kevin and I help transform spaces on a regular basis. And since we are all at home, we thought, man, this is a great time for all of us to kind of and what I've seen, quite frankly, is many of my friends are doing DIY projects. The lines at Lowe's and Home Depot are long, and a lot of people are doing projects at home. So we thought we'd just kind of transition a little bit away from our normal and just focus on interior. And during our 30-minute FaceTime Live, if you have a question, man, feel free to post and reach out to us. We are excited about the opportunity to discuss spaces, and we have a space that one viewer sent to us. Kevin will talk more about that. But Kevin, tell me about your week. How was your week?
It was a good week. Survived it. It was, I think it was a little bit rough. I kind of like you said, I've been doing a few DIY projects around the place, and I'm going to show a picture of this. Kind of proud of it. I have a patio space and no backyard, so I got busy this week making myself a backyard on my patio, and so I got some artificial turf and framed it in with some stones, and it's been kind of fun to sit out there. My new favorite dad joke is to tell the boys to go play in the backyard. So,
hey, Kim Walker said hello. So hello, Kim Walker. Thank you for the kind greetings.
Yep, that was my week. How about you?
Oh man, I had with 4 kids in the house, everybody is ready to get out. So here in Texas today, the shelter-in-place ban was officially lifted. We have businesses opening back up down here in Texas. So,
yep.
The first question my son asked me this morning: can we go get a haircut? There's one local town here that's open to that. Everyone else is closed, and the ordinance is being more restrictive about that. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that was my week.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, you might have to wait a little longer for the haircut. That's the deal.
Well, yeah, I'm getting Shaggy. That's my new nickname around the house. Raymond Rodriguez says looks good, Hoverman. So thank you, Ray Rodriguez. Ray's an amazing individual, incredibly talented. So we'll take any compliment from Ray.
Yep, exactly. All right, are you ready to jump in?
Let's jump in, man. Yeah, let's get started. The magic is in your pen, and of course in your brain. But yeah, I'd love to jump in and talk more about a space. Talk about just some design principles that you live by and that you practice by. And so as you're drawing and talking, man, Kevin, we have an audience that, they want, they need some help. So, walk us through a space and your thoughts here over these next few minutes. Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, for sure. So I was thinking just kind of what we were talking about last week, and there's some questions about how do I jump in or what do I do if I don't have any experience. And I was thinking, about how the process we go through with our clients, and really it's not work starting with the client, jumping in, start drawing right away. There's a lot of work that goes in before we ever start drawing anything or showing anything, and it starts with working to understand who the client is, right? So the who, the where, and the why. And so for a lot of our clients, they're churches, and so we want to know who they are. We want to know their background, their history, the people that make up their congregation. We want to know the community that God has placed them in, and just the people, about the people around the church, and then just the why, like why now? Why would you want to do this? What do you think is the purpose of developing an intentionally designed space? And really, we do all that so that we can start drilling down and we can start developing the story that we want to tell. So every church, every pediatric office, they have a story to tell. And so before we get there and before we're talking about things we can do, we want to start and understand who they are. I was thinking about that just for us at home right now. And I think it's sometimes the same thing. And so something I was thinking about, and I did not too long ago with my boys, is we kind of asked those questions for ourselves as a family. And we put together our story. We put together, call it the Cravens family values. And so we kind of go over this a lot. And these are kind of good, broad statements that define us, at least right now, as a family, and help us kind of make some decisions of what we spend our time on. And so I just had that thought, is maybe some families at home, that would maybe be a good exercise just in general. But if you were thinking about getting intentional with some of your kids' spaces, whether it's the playroom or the bedroom or game room or backyard or anywhere else, understanding who you are as a family and maybe some of your goals and things that are important to you might be a good place to start. And so just with that in mind, I was going to kind of take the Cravens family values and apply that to a picture of a space that we got over this past week, and then see how I might kind of take some of those principles or some of that story of who we are and work to help influence how we would design a space. Sound good?
Sounds great to me, Kevin. You're talking the language that we speak every day, and we usually do deep dives into companies and the culture of the organization. So yeah, man, this is great.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's the important thing is, if you go to Pinterest, I mean, there's a million different options, right? And then it becomes a conversation about preference, and then you can start getting overwhelmed and kind of a little bit of paralysis. You don't know where to start. You don't know what's going to be best. But I think if you start with understanding who you are as a family, that's a great way to inform how you move forward, right? So let's do that. So so this is a playroom picture that we got from somebody who reached out to us. So obviously put some stuff in there. This is probably a gathering spot. It seems like there's a lot of comfy stuff going on. Got some books, got some blankets, and you got the TV as well. So just to kind of help us think about what this space could look like, I actually, right before this, I painted over everything just so we can start with a blank canvas. So, but if I'm looking at this through the lens of my Cravens family values, a big thing for us as a family, and really one thing I want my boys to understand, is that there's time for screens. Downtime is a good thing. Downtime is an appropriate thing. It's okay to consume, but it's better to create, right? And so, if I was looking at this room, right now, my first thing right off the bat is the TV is the center. I mean, everything drives towards, that screen right there. Literally everything in the room is built around that screen, right? And so if I was looking at that, a good place for me is, and I would take that TV and move it away from that kind of that focal point in the room. And so this may be, buying one of the arms, the swivel arms for your TV. I think for me, maybe I put it in the corner right here. So obviously, it still is going to play a part in what goes on in here. But even that right there kind of takes it away from being the focus of the room and open this room up to a whole lot other possibilities. I think on top of that, there's, if I'm looking at the original picture, it's the TV and then a lot of stuff on the ground below it. So again, I think some simple storage kind of right there, kind of get all that up off the floor, would be a great solution, a great start to really kind of bringing this room together. They had the couch right there, kind of framing in the room. We talked about that last week, man. That's a great idea, but that kind of does close off the room. Originally, I was thinking, I was gonna, maybe we did kind of like we talked about last week, a storage area kind of right there, kind of to replace the couch. But I think partly maybe to do something a little different, but even kind of make this room a little more welcoming, but still being able to frame it off. I've had the thought of, again, just some storage units. And storage is a big deal to get the stuff, off the ground and just laying all over the place, right? But I'm thinking of the 4-cube IKEA storage units, those kind of units. kind of on either side to kind of frame in the space. Put these in here real fast. What do you think, Todd, so far?
Yeah, I mean, instantly it's already much more has a much more clean look, Kevin. Yeah, just honestly, it's simple. It's simple, very practical steps that can really highlight and transform a space. So I think that's fantastic. I mean, every family's looking for more storage.
Yep.
I would guess that door to the right's probably some kind of storage closet, and if it's a kid's room, it's probably overflowing with toys. So,
Exactly.
so that's super practical, very very helpful.
Yeah, so I think even that right there. So you know, obviously you're kind of framing in the room, but clear kind of entry exit right here. And if I think of my boys kind of running all over the place, sometimes getting crazy, you know, now they have an opportunity to kind of go in and out through here versus I would think maybe that couch. That's a good launching point in and out of the room, right? I'm sure these storage units are probably still a good launching point as well, but just kind of a clear path to kind of, you know, when things get a little crazy for them to go in and out. So really kind of just doing those few small things. I mean, really kind of getting a lot of the same function, but already have kind of opened up the room to a lot of possibilities, right? I mean, we have all this floor space now. We have all this wall space that kind of takes it away from just being the focus on the TV. And so I think kind of I was thinking too is like, well, maybe would we put a couch in here? Would we put something kind of heavy in here? But I was thinking, you know, I know this space was for older kids. They have a wide range of kids. Some I think maybe the youngest is 8 up to you know, kind of a sophomore, junior in high school. So this has to kind of be available for a lot of different kids and age ranges. And so, you know, my thought was, you know, kind of taking a more modular approach. And so, you know, there's all kinds of like good portable seating, whether it's as simple as a beanbag or some, you know, ottomans or, you know, even potentially some gaming chairs. Those are always good options as well. You know, those would be good that maybe they're kind of framed, kind of facing towards the TV, but, you know, they have the opportunity to be removed if, you know, kind of want to do something different in there, maybe a game room or get a little more creative with something. But also, you know, kind of creates that cozy spot like we talked about last week for the kiddos. And sometimes it's okay to settle in for a movie night or settle in for some video games. I know my boys right now, they video games, good or bad, man, that's how they're connecting with their friends, right? And so, you know, that needs to be an okay thing.
You know, that's a good point. My son, who loves Fortnite, he's taken just regular Fortnite. Now he's got headphones, and now he has an iPad beside him. So he has people watching how he plays as he's playing his game, and he's seen enough YouTube videos. He's starting to record himself playing the game and talking strategy of how he can better improve and helping his friends as they're, you know, a team trying to defeat another team. So it's amazing from the, you know, we're going to reveal our age, Kevin, back in the Atari days. To now
that was a very lonely thing to do.
Yeah. Very immersive experience. So that's great insight.
Yeah. Have you gotten any better at Fortnite watching your kid?
You know what? I'm terrible at a first person shooter game. So no, I don't even attempt. I tried to play him a couple of times against him, and I got just knocked out so quickly. So I checked out. I'll just to spend some time with him. I'll watch him, but no. Now, how about you? Do you attempt to play your son?
Oh yeah, yep. I jump in there, but yeah, I make him look good for sure. It's not my thing, definitely. But you know, yeah, it's, you know what, like all of us, it's about that, just getting in there and having fun. And you know, I don't need to win for sure, but yeah, Fortnite is definitely a favorite. All right. So, you know, this room, what's that?
I was going to say, so you have a lot of wall space. You have colors, looks like the same color on the ceiling as the walls. Yep. So, you know, what would you do, or maybe even talk through how you think of, okay, here's a space. It's not a very large space, it doesn't look like, but you know, is the dark color good? Is it bad? I mean, talk to me about that, and how do you come to those conclusions?
I think it's okay. So yeah, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I was gonna maybe do some stuff maybe to kind of break the room up a little bit. Let me do this real fast. I think the room's okay. I had seen some other pictures, and if you step outside of the room, I mean, it has that kind of that beige base coat, and so just knowing the style of the rest of the room, I think it's okay. I think the some of the furniture, maybe some of the storage bins that are put inside some of this, or the modular seating, those are the opportunities to add some pops of color. But I think this is a pretty good neutral palette. I kind of talked about this last week. This is something I made a while ago, and so I'm going to start defining the space off to the left as kind of a modular sort of mock-up for a creative space, right? So again, kind of both and. So you have the ability to kind of get cozy and connect with some of your friends online and consume. But you also have the opportunity on the right-hand side to create, which I'm very passionate about. So this, for example, would be just a piece of printed vinyl. And so kind of painting a tone-on-tone darker stripe on the wall like that, I mean, you're kind of doing something fun with the TV, and it kind of carries your eye across the room to creative space. And so I'm going to, let me distort this into the space a little bit. But I'm always
while you're talking, we have a number of people watching us. If you have a question, feel free to reach out. Maybe a question about Kevin's approach or his color schemes or color choices or layout of the room or something you agree with or don't agree with. This is a great opportunity for you to ask truly the expert. Kevin has helped design literally thousands and thousands of rooms. And he's done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of projects. So if you have a question for Kevin, feel free to reach out and ask us. And I'll make sure I relay that to Kevin. But yeah, Kevin, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's good. So we kind of talked about it last week, but I'm a big fan of kind of big declarative statements that are a little fun, right? It's like kind of just as a source of inspiration or helps define the room without a giant list of instructions, right? And so just even as something as simple as this, so just the word create that looks like, it's made out of different construction materials would be a great way to kind of communicate the intention of the room and do something fun. So I may, just keeping in mind that this is more of a modular kind of setup for a room. My boys, they're a little different. I got two boys. One, he'll jump in there, man. He'll get, if he kind of gets upset about something, needs to process something, he'll jump in there with the art supplies. Or he just might need some time in his cozy spot to just kind of process through it. My other son, he has a different sort of mindset. He's creative in different ways. And so Legos, are a great way over the years, a great way for him to kind of process through things. So it's very therapeutic for him. And so back in the day, actually turned his closet into a Lego studio, right? So kind of was thinking the same thing. So here is, building some simple tabletops doesn't, again, you're kind of just given the canvas for them to get creative on. Draw this in right here. And then I'm gonna, do something right here real fast. I'm gonna put some big prints, maybe canvas prints or frame prints, kind of up on this wall. Do this real fast. I'm gonna have some fun here, I think sometimes, we get obsessed about everything lining up perfectly. I know I'm that way, but just kind of even doing simple things like this with some of the artwork you want to hang up on the wall. I mean, the important thing is to just show some consistency or show a little bit of intention, but even kind of like skewing the prints and even create at different heights, kind of creates a sense of fun on that side of the room. And so even that right there, we have that, and then the you have opportunities to put in some storage. Again, big fan of storage. And again, I'm thinking art supplies, I'm thinking Legos. Storage over here is going to kind of be key. And so for my son's Lego room, actually at Home Depot, if you go, you can get like the little bins for, like different hardware, like nails or screws or stuff like that. So I actually picked up several of those, and I use that kind of as the Lego storage bin for some of the smaller pieces or some of the minifig pieces or stuff like that you would use more consistently. And then maybe underneath would be opportunities for some of the bigger storage bins or whatnot. But But yeah, there you go. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, I think, it's amazing when you look through things through a different lens, and how a room can easily be transformed. I think that's a part of your creative genius, but B, um, it's always about perspective, right? When you have someone else that can look at your space, because whoever that homeowner is, they obviously, see things, or don't have that ability. And I think about other spaces that we've created and transformed. We have a number of clients that we partner with: churches, pediatric medical and dental offices, YMCA's, engaged in several military bases right now that we're transforming their space. And usually with those meetings, I know for me, especially when you and I go on trips together, Kevin, it's, we instantly can identify areas that they can't see. And I think that's the great value out of hiring an expert.
Mm-hmm.
You look at your spaces, you can see things through a whole different lens, a whole different perspective. And speaking of that, we're going to be talking next Friday about, the world that we enter and we design, and that's the church world. And we're going to talk about principles and things to look at and what we're looking for when we partner with a church and how we come on site. You talked about things that we do. We do deep dive into the culture, into the community. We'll talk more about that next week. And then this next several Fridays, we'll be talking about different environments. We'll talk about pediatric dental offices and medical offices and so on and so forth through these next series of FaceTime lives that we'll be doing. But Kevin, as we get ready to wrap up today's call, we actually have several minutes here to go, but if you could give us maybe a couple things. How did you come up with, I think it's really great, your family values? Like, what did you do? How did you craft that? No doubt there's people that are watching that are saying, hey, that's a great idea. We'd love to do that. Where do we start? So talk about, how you got to that point. And then also, if you would, you instantly transformed the space in just a matter of minutes, but maybe share, the top 2 or 3 or 4 things that the average homeowner can do or look to do, by themselves. Again, some of that might be repetition from last week, but talk about that. Give them some principles that they can, that are tangible, that they can take with them as they look at whether it's a game room or maybe it's an upstairs playroom or something. So if you could do that, again, sure. 2 or 3 things for them that are tangible that they could take away from your design efforts.
Yep.
Then also share about your family values and really how you came to that, and what's a good starting point for a family who wants to do that.
Yeah. So the family values, it's kind of doing the thing that we do with our clients on the left-hand side. It was taking a little bit of time and figuring out, myself as a parent, what's important to me. And I think thinking down the road of who I want my boys to be, or ideally to be. Because they got their own little personalities. They're going to make their own decisions here. I was going to say eventually, but they're predetermined to make their own decisions now. But I think that's a good place to start. And it sounds easy, but it's not very easy. So it's setting aside some good time to really think through that. And then, I was pretty intentional about making sure my boys were involved in it, and making sure that they had a say in what that looked like, because, this is important for all of us. The internet, I think I borrowed pretty heavily from some people who have done this before. You kind of read some articles or see what other people have done, and it's like, man, I didn't think about that, but I love that. Or just even the way they worded it, just very, concisely. I borrowed pretty heavily from stuff that I saw other people had done. But I think you got to understand who you are. And then, if you're not a wordsmith, because I am not a wordsmith, the written word is definitely struggle with. So, whether, your significant other, or, if your kid is old enough, or somebody, who's just able to kind of condense things in a easy to understand way. I'd maybe lean on those people as well. And then just, I think kind of to answer your other question, I kind of want to circle back around. If I look back at the family values, this room doesn't necessarily hit all of those. But for sure, I kind of laid out the room with a lot of that in mind. And so, just knowing we will support each other in how we choose to create, and knowing my boys have their own personalities, if this was my room, I kind of set it up in a way that they would have the room and the space to be able to create, in the ways that they feel they need to, or that inspire them. And then I think, we'll be a safe place to make mistakes and try again. I think this is, a place to just having the space set up to create, whether it's Legos or art supplies or whatever. I even might just on one of those canvas prints up here, just kind of knowing that, like I want my boys to be okay with failing, because to me, if they're failing, that means they're trying. And I think that's as important as anything else. And so I may find some big bold statements to put up on those prints, just so that's a part of, it's not just up here on this printout of our family values, but they're just kind of able to see that day to day. And then, I think this was my boys, this was their biggest contribution, but our home will be a place to unwind and have fun. And so, man, I love even having it in there, because that's just a big reminder. I think, our kiddos, no matter their age, I mean, man, they were, and then when they're able to get back out there, I mean, they deal with all kind of stresses we don't have to deal with. And so I would hope that our home, that was a great call out by them, our home is a place where they can just relax, let their guard down, have fun, and be themselves. And so, I think more than anything else is, this is a room in particular that, that would allow that to happen. And then everything I did here.
Got a comment. Karen Smith says this is cool. So
okay,
that's off to you. As you're talking, one of the things you mentioned about the vinyls, where's a good place for someone to get those? Can they purchase those? Is there? I know we've talked before about Etsy. There's some opportunities for people to buy those graphic vinyls, but you mentioned IKEA for those storage shelves, Home Depot for some other items. Even, where's a good idea to get some those pictures that you were referencing? Is there a place that you reference or that you go to, talk about that? And then also, I'm sorry, finish out what you were mentioning about just some of those principles, design principles.
No, I think that's great. I mean, that's kind of what I was going to finish up at is, when this room, I designed it, because that's just how I am. Like on this side of things, I can draw anything, create anything, but man, the second you put a hammer in my hand, we're all in trouble, right? And so, in the Worlds of WoW side, we have a whole system set up that, everybody's able to work in their strengths. And so, myself and my creative team, and we can get busy being creative designing. And we have a whole team of talented production folks and install guys who know what they're doing and know how to make that a reality, right? So just that's a great synergy there, just to make literally anything our clients come up with, we can make happen. But, on the residential side in my home, I'm the guy who has to, design it and then do something about it, right? So I think that's, anytime I'm thinking like residential, I'm thinking with myself in mind. And so everything here would be something, I'm thinking IKEA, I'm thinking Etsy, I'm thinking Wayfair potentially. And so, just kind of go through it all real fast. I mean, we've seen them probably a million times. I mean, that's shelving units from IKEA. The bean bags, or just some of the, the ottoman seating. I mean, that's something that you could probably find in IKEA as well, or Wayfair, or anywhere online. And then, the table here, you might be able to source that. That may be the only thing that, you may have to build on your own. But again, I just kept it simple. And then even right here, it's, using Home Depot. That would be, I literally did that, got the stuff from Home Depot. And then, but in terms of the vinyls, Etsy's a great place. I would just say, I've noticed sometimes some people on Etsy, they'll like for this create thing, they'll send you like 28.5 by 11 little sheets of vinyl to kind of put the whole thing together. And man, that's no bueno. You can get the whole full size thing right here. Now, putting up oversized vinyl, that's a little bit of a different ball game. But again, there's so many resources online. And if you buy from somebody good on Etsy, they should give you some pretty good instructions or some good videos of how to do it. But I think that's something to kind of watch out for, definitely. So again, this is all stuff, man, I could go to Home Depot, IKEA when it's open, go on Etsy and take care of all of this right now. We'll say the other important thing is measure. So if you are going to buy online, I mean, measuring is, you got to break out that tape measure and kind of keep it keep it in mind, and maybe it is creating an overhead view and kind of roughly blocking things in. So for example, if I was going to paint this stripe on the wall and then get this final piece of that create, I obviously need to understand the size of this create graphic, and then, you know, make my stripe a little wider, a little thicker than that, right? If I kind of go in and just, I think the create is this big, I mean, you could end up, you know, with the create being bigger than the stripe. So measuring would be another good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, great point, Kevin. Hey, this was great, super helpful, very practical, especially for what we're all going through right now, and hopefully other states are going to be lifting the ban. But again, it's all about safety and making sure that we're being very careful and cautious, as well as, you know, I never heard the term social distancing until a few months ago.
It's a thing.
But, you know, it's being safe and you know, caring about your neighbor and being cautious, and as well as you know, just it's for us especially, it's, you know, it's trying to figure out and using wisdom when things open back up. But looking forward to next Friday, Kevin. Next Friday again, we'll be talking about you know, transforming a children's ministry space, and what does that look like, and where do we start, and some really helpful practical ideas. Not every church can hire Worlds of Wow, but every church can dream and transform their space. So we're just going to talk about you know, have them bring our Facebook Live audience into the world that we live in on a day in and day out basis. And I'm super excited about that for next week. So any teaser, Kevin, that you want to share about?
I think we're going to do the same thing. I think my goal, and if anybody listening wants to send a picture of their check-in space with their church, I would love to start there, because I think that's typically the first impression. So I'd love to do the same thing and just kind of talk through some kind of things you can do on your own, and then kind of draw over it and transform it while we're talking. And I think kind of, you mentioned social distancing, but as churches are opening back up, I would love to look at it and design it through the lens of what that potentially could look like, and some best practices as we kind of figure this out together.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kim Walker shared that she loves the family value idea. She's going to share that with her families at church. So Kevin, I knew that would be a hit. So well done there. If you would like to, whether you're on the Facebook Live now, or you watch this on YouTube or on any of our social media platforms, if you want to share a picture or pictures of your check-in at your church, feel free to email those at hello, as in like HELLO, at worldsofwow.com. That's WORLDSOFWOW.com. So hello at worldsofwow.com. Look forward to receiving your check-in spaces. And man, Kevin will select, or Kevin and his team will select one lucky winner. So excited about those opportunities. In the meantime, everybody have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in to our second Facebook Live, and looking forward to having you join us again next Friday at 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.